We're going to create our animations, coming up to window and coming down into animation. We want to click on the animation window here, and we'll get a whole new one. And I'm just going to expand this one here. I want to be able to make sure I can use my hierarchy, so make it a little bit smaller. If you want, one of the things I sometimes do is click and drag it right in here with my scene view. So here's my animation. I want to make sure that I'm clicked on what is called my player. We're going to rename this as player. So I want to make sure I click on my player because this is where I'm going to create the animations with. So with my player selected, I'm going to click create, and we're going to call this idle. And it is going to save it right now into an idle folder. But what I want to do is to come into my assets folder, and I'm going to create a new folder. This is going to be called animations. And that should be saved. Nope, wrong one. Going into my 2D animation. Okay. So in my idle, I want to go into my 2D animation, into the assets folder, and you might already be there, but just check. And I'm going to create a new folder, and I'm going to call this animation, and click create. And I should have another folder in there besides the scenes now. And I'm going to click save after labeling this as old. So now that I've got my idle ready to go, I'm going to come down to my sprite folder and my idle folder that I've created, and I have these 5 idle sprites. I'm going to select them all by clicking on the first one, holding the shift key, and I want to click and drag them up to the animation window. And what it should do is give us a little animation so that if you look down in your game view, you should see your character move a little bit. And we're going to keep that animation going, but I'm going to slow it down maybe a little bit. So let's try like a 24, and it will space it out. So if I come to my game, and there's our character doing the idle animation. So you could slow it down even more. In my case, making sure again my player is selected. Let's try like a 10 to see what he does. A little bit. So there's a little bit of an animation, and it does loop over and over again. So it is entirely up to you if that is okay. You can go a little bit faster, a little bit slower, but don't have them going crazy, because I think the first number that they had him using was a 60. And I can show you what that will look like here. So a little funny there. So I'm going to go back to a 10. There we go. Now I want to create a new clip. So I'm going to click on my idle, go to create new clip. And this one we're going to call walk or run, depending on what your character is going to do. And so I'm going to go back up to my animation folder, and I'm going to click save. And coming down to my walk, then I'm going to click on the first one, hold the shift key, drag all 3 of those in. I'm sorry, all 5 of those in. And again, I'm going to change my number here to a 10 also to make sure that they are in the same boat. So we've created 2 animations with our character. We're going to wait on the jump animation here in just a little bit as we get into our project to talk about what we're doing for that jump. Guess we could. Oh God, does it ever work? Well, let's edit in, and then you can always edit out. So we're going to go up to walk, and we're going to create a new clip. And in this case, we're going to call this jump. And again, making sure it's in your animation folder. Go to your jump character, select the 5, and drag them in, and change this number to a 10. The only animation that you probably will see as you've done this is the idle animation. You won't see the jump or walk until we actually start scripting them in. But You can, if you want to see what they look like, we can always go into another window. So we've got our jump, our walk, and our idle animations ready to go for our player. And if I click on my player, you're going to notice that it added in an animator here, and it added in the player controller. If I click on my animation, this is the player controller. So it is saying that that player character has an animation, and we can use a bunch of animations on it.